Hello, everyone, and welcome to Connections, Forum for Relationships, Expression, and Healing. And we are in episode 41. Imagine, 41 already. So today's topic is how to tap into your intuition for a better life and business. And we have a special guest here, and she is Darlene Cary. We will present her a little later. Before I want to talk a little bit about Connections Forum, we are offering interviews and talks about the most important areas of life, such as handling relationships, nurturing conscious awareness, and expressing who we really are. And also about the healing in all these areas. The purpose of our show is to inspire and to teach you skills for dealing with the mental, emotional upheavals that happen to anybody from time to time. All episodes are recorded and then posted in our website, hangoutonconnections.com. So please go there and see what we have done in the previous 40 episodes. Before we introduce our special guest, Darlene, some words about me. I'm Heidi Hornlein, or also Adelheid Hornlein. I'm German, but I live in Italy, and now I'm here with you in the cyberspace somewhere. I'm a transformational coach and also relationship counselor, and before I worked for 20 years as voice teacher and voice therapist, and I'm still sometimes doing this. Here in my home, I give retreats and courses in Paradiso Integrale in Italy, together with my husband, Mark. And we will also do a new show about wisdom, the Wisdom Factory, which is located virtually in the Paradiso Integrale. So far to me, and I give over to you, Margherita.
Hello, I am Margherita Crystal Lotus, and from thecrystallotus.com. I'm an author, creative artist, intuitive life and business mentor who helps women, professional women, to overcome emotional issues and stress so that they can become happier in their relationships and then finding the purpose within their career. I also run a healing retreat for my private clients called Enchantment Healing Retreat here in Kingston, Canada. And I want to welcome you, Darlene. Say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about using your intuition to get ahead in life as a life skill. It's not a woo-woo illusion, right?
No.
It's a real wisdom skill. And in this episode, we are going to interview Darlene on what intuition really is. She says, since I left my 20 years of banking career, I have uncovered the secrets and fallen into many pitfalls towards stressful heart-based, towards a successful heart-based coaching business. So now my love is marketing and technology. And she says she is an out-of-the-closet geek who helps holistic business bring their gift to the world. So let's look into our own life today and say, Darlene, the first question I have for you is, what is intuition and how do you use it?
First of all, Margherita, thank you so much for having me. I am just so excited to be here. And I guess the answer to what is intuition, there's actually two schools of thought. One school of thought is that intuition is kind of the combination of all of our life experiences, and it's a way our brain taps into everything we've experienced. So it's kind of tapping into our hard drive based on everything we've been through. That's kind of one school of thought. The other school of thought about what intuition is it is tapping into our inner knowing, our higher self. A higher power could be another way of looking at it. There's all kinds of words for the same thing, which is just our inner higher self is what I think of it. And it's a skill, just like any other skill, that the more we do it, the more we practice it, the better we become at it.
So how do you actually find your intuition? How do you connect with it like that?
A good way to start out is just simply by getting quiet, because our intuition can't really talk to us with all the noise going on around us. So especially at first, when you're first getting to know how your intuition likes to communicate with you, because we all have our preferred method of communication with our intuition. Some people feel it as something in their body. You know, that's where trust your gut comes from. In business, a lot of times people say, well, I just trusted my gut on that one. Well, they're literally listening to what their stomach, or feeling what's in their stomach. That's how they get their insights, is through their body. Some people actually do hear a guidance, like it'll just be a word or two, and intuition will always be a very peaceful, positive message. It's not our inner voice. That's what it's not. It's not our inner critic, which is often harsh and really strident and doesn't necessarily have a positive message for us, but our intuition will always be calm and very positive, and when you get a message, it's very peaceful. That's one way to know that you're listening to your intuition and not that inner critic.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about you. How did you find your way of connecting with that we call intuition, which is not ego, right?
Yeah, not ego.
How did you discover your own ability there?
Good question. I've done this work for many years on myself. And so after a amount of time, I learned that if I got quiet and looked into a situation, I get it as knowings. I get it some as body, but mostly as I just know something, or something feels, I do get it feels right. A good example is, this is how every day it can be, just everyday help. I went shopping the other day for clothes, and I hate shopping, and so I went to the store, the retail store, shopping store, saying, okay, intuition. I talk to my intuition all the time. We have a conversation. And I said, I don't want to be here, but please help me out and guide me to the best clothes as quickly as possible. So literally, I walked into the store and looked around very quietly and kind of felt, okay, what am I drawn to? And I'd be drawn to a rack of clothes. Just, boy, I'm just going to go with it and go with this rack of clothes. And so I looked on the rack and I'd find a few items. So because of that, the shopping trip was much shorter and much more enjoyable than me saying, gosh, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I guess that looks as good as anything. So your attitude affects how you receive intuition as much as being quiet. So if you have an open attitude of, yes, I'm going to find the right clothes today, and I'm going to be guided to whatever is best for me at this time, you're much more likely to get intuition messages than if you are shut down and I don't want to be here, or what am I doing wrong, and this is just not working out.
Okay, so I get it. So it's like first we're quiet, and then we know what we want to ask about, and then we ask about that, and then we listen. Is that it?
Okay. That's it. And you learn how you best interpret and how you best receive the information. And it just takes time, like any other skill. It just takes time to get better and better at it.
So I want to ask you this. What is the benefit? What is the benefit? Okay, Heidi.
Yeah, I would like to enter into that, because, you know, in the example you gave, Darlene, about dresses, and people might still think, yeah, okay, dresses, you know, if you take the one and you call it intuition, this is still possible that people don't believe that this is intuition, but it's by chance or something. I wanted to insert something which I know what happened, for instance, with Einstein. He said that his breakthrough, so this big groundbreaking new knowledge he found out was by intuition, not by calculating or something. He sat still and was sort of, waiting that the answer comes, and bang, it came up. And not by thinking, and not by, let's say, not by trying to have it. And here, I think, when such a big scientist says something like that, we cannot say this is just, just some woo-woo-woo.
Yeah, Einstein was actually a big proponent of intuition. You're right. There's several quotes from him. I can't think of any specifically, but I know that during his life he listened a lot to his intuition, and a lot of his insights, like you said, were based on his intuition. Now, he would back that up with solid work and research and making it happen, which is important. But he let that information come through. It's almost more of a letting than a pushing the river. If you force, if you push, I'm going to make this happen, I'm going to make this happen, and I'm going to listen to my intuition, then you're actually creating the blocks for that wisdom coming through. So good point. Yes, I think Thomas Edison, too,
was
a big intuition.
Something about Einstein that he had explained that what he got inside was not, it was more pictures. In one instance, he described that he saw kind of a tree inside, and then a thought leading through the branches, and then it connected to parts. When he saw this tree, that everything was connected. How do you see your intuition, Darlene?
Oh, I don't see as much in pictures as a lot of people do. A lot of people do, and I feel more, and I'll get like just a couple of words, or like when I'll walk into a party or a networking meeting. This is a good way for in business. If you're walking into a networking meeting for your business, kind of just quietly stand there and think, okay, who am I drawn to talk to? And one of my mentors, Lynn Robinson, who is a wonderful intuitive coach and mentor, she talks about how she actually went to a funeral and her intuition told her to sit next to somebody, which is unusual for that to be that direct, like sit here. And she said she listened to it, and it was a reporter from a Boston newspaper. This is when she was first starting out. And the news reporter ended up writing an article about her, and that just launched her business, just based on that one thing. So yeah, it can be really big, or it can be just everyday little small things, just to make your life flow that much easier.
So I like that why you brought in, because you're working with businesses, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Intuition in businesses. So I wanted to ask before too, what is the benefit of training your intuition? What is the benefit?
The benefit is your life simply is much smoother. Because we can live our lives with struggle and making things happen, but if we listen to our intuition and make it part of our everyday lives, then the way just becomes smoother, and you'll sell more because you understand more who needs your products. You'll be drawn to some resources for your business more than others. I created a guided meditation just about making decisions based on your intuition. So it's a matter of just making your life smoother, I think, is a lot of it. Smoother, easier, you get more sales, you meet the right people, versus I'm going to make this happen and this is going to happen.
So let me understand this. So if somebody have not, I mean, I use my intuition all the time, right? But I want, for those who really want to understand what intuition is, can you explain where that intuition comes from? What is it really? Or is it a belief system? Can you explore a little bit so that the left
Sure.
people here can can have a real solid foundation in what we're talking.
To me, it's not really a belief system, or like it's not a religion. Sometimes it's easy describing more what it's not than what it is. It's not a religion. It's not a belief system. I think of it as tapping into your higher self. I think we all have souls. I think we all have that divine spark within us, that part of, some people call it God, some people call it universal mind. I think it's tapping into that universal mind part of us, which we are all a part of. So we're pulling into ourselves that wisdom that is all around us as part of God, part of the universal mind, and we're simply making it a tool in our lives to help us and make our lives easier, and really to do what we're here to do. That's another big part of it. That's another whole field, is finding out what you're here in this life to do.
Yeah, I agree totally. I mean, I was just thinking, Heidi, you're calling your new business the Wisdom Factory. Isn't that really tapping into helping people with their intuition? What do you say, Heidi?
I don't think that it is exactly that, but I think the people who will take part in the Wisdom Factory are people who have found a balance between their, let's say, mental forces, their imaginary, their drives, their errors, going out and do things, and the other part which is more receptive, and which is more what Darlene describes as intuition. I certainly won't have people there who are just telling me what you need to do to get a business out, and makes, the numbers here, and then you have to do that, and then you have to do that, blah, blah, blah. No, for sure not. But it is a different type of people who have adopted this, what you say, Darlene, the connection with the divine, or the connection with the, let's say, the energies which are around us, which we are attracting better or worse. It depends on our abilities. Anyway, there will be people of this kind. Sure.
Yeah, and I think a key part of that, and it sounds, Heidi, like this is what you're doing as well, is finding that bridge between, you could call it left brain, right brain, but finding that balance and finding the bridge between our own inner knowing and just simply good business practical sense of just common sense, or marketing information, but making the bridge between the two, because then you have kind of the best of all worlds.
Yeah, when I shared this event, I wrote in a little above chapter, I wrote, for me, intuition is a feminine quality, which doesn't mean necessarily a woman quality. Women maybe have it easier, maybe not, but it's more a feminine way of doing things. And in our past, there were so many masculine ways of doing this, to do, as you said before, I have to do that, and then I do that. And I myself did that for many, 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 many years, until I
confess too.
And it was the singing which brought me out of that, because I understood when I really want to learn to sing, I cannot do that in the way as I do other things. So I had to learn to listen and to tap slowly into other energies. And now I'm completely convinced that without the guidance of what you call higher self, this is so confusing, all these names,
Yeah,
but
they're just names.
Guidance, we for sure don't do the right decisions,
That's interesting, Heidi, you bring that up, because the singing, because one of the things I suggest to clients is, even, and this may sound silly, but it works, is you're in your day and you're working and you're at your desk and you get into that mode, is just get up, put on some really good music, and dance. And for Heidi, it might be singing for you. For me, I get some really good positive music up, and I'll dance. Just, it's just me. No one else is around, and it just puts you into that different space than just kind of to get you out of that mode. And it's amazing what insights come when you've taken yourself out of that mode and into that much more open, free-spirited, open-minded. Yeah, it's a feminine, it's a receptive energy.
Absolutely.
I just play with crystals. Okay, Heidi, you wanted to say something.
No, I wanted just to confirm that, and wanted to say the healing power of music is known for millions of years, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a question that is looming in people's minds sometimes is, how do I know this is true? I get this feeling, I need to go there. How do you discern the real intuition and not confusing it with our pent-up desires and beliefs?
Great question, Margherita. Great question. And the more you understand your own intuition, the easier that will be. At first, it can be a little difficult because we're so used to having that inner critic voice that is often the first thing we hear whenever we go in is, oh, did I turn off the stove, and did I do this right, or did I do that right? So the more often you can practice intuition, the better you'll get at it. But I would say at first, listen and get quiet. And how does the information feel? Like, does the information I'm getting, is it peaceful? Is it positive? Is it something that is for my highest good versus, you can tell that, well, did I turn this off, or I really didn't write that very well. That's obviously our inner critic. A lot of it is tone of the messages. Does it feel good? And I'm going back into feeling, but it's how the message feels. And what I suggest people do is keep an intuition journal, because that's part of learning this skill and getting better. Is start with small things, like, do I feel like doing this or do this? And then just write down your answer. And then through time, you understand better how you get the information and what messages come through for you, and what percentage is correct and what percentage is not correct, and how does it feel when I listen to certain kinds of messages.
Yeah, that's very good. And when we use intuition, let's say in a business decision, and it goes bad, we knew we did the right thing, but it still doesn't work. How do you explain that?
I would say, in an objective way, go back to the original information that you received, however you received it, and ask yourself, in the situation, was it something that I wanted so badly that my own ego overrode the information I received? And also, sometimes it's a matter of, in the short term, it may not seem like it came out right, but in the long term, you realize it was for a higher purpose. Like sometimes, if you're going to hire someone, or if you're going to use a resource versus another resource and use your intuition to pick between the two, if it seems like you made the wrong decision, note it down in your journal and then give it some time and see if that really was a negative decision, or over time if it really came out to be a positive factor.
Okay, so then it comes to the next step here. So some people, they just give over their responsibility. Yeah, that's my intuition, or my angels who said that. It wasn't me, right? How do we deal with our own responsibility responsibility here.
And also a great point. We all have free choice and we all have personal responsibility. So when you get a message or something feels like you're drawn to something or it feels like you're getting a message, ask yourself, is this really what I need now? Is this something that will help me now? Or am I just justifying this answer based on blaming someone else? Because the messages will never include blame, but you have to look at it in an objective way and take responsibility for your own actions. And sometimes something is so emotionally fraught, a decision or what we want to do is so emotionally fraught that we just simply can't hear what our intuition wants to tell us.
I like that emotional fraud. I heard fraud. Like that. What is that? Like we have this game set up inside, right? Okay, so I want to feel this way, so therefore I'm going to elicit that people doing this, and so we have this control scheme, and then okay, I'm hearing these messages, and these other people have to listen to me, and we have a whole web of knots that we justify everything, and so that's not intuition, right?
That's not intuition. The more you can free yourself of emotional negative bonds with other people, like whether it could be substances, like addictions. Addictions are just murder on intuition. I don't know if it's necessarily caffeine. But I mean, like alcohol and drug addictions, those need to be addressed first. Or if you have like a codependent relationship with someone where both of you are not really living your highest self, you're depending on each other, and it's a real negative interaction, when you clean a lot of that up, it opens the channel for you to hear more clearly what your intuition is trying to tell you.
Okay, so here is another question about that. So how do you know you're in a enmeshed codependent thing and then you think you're not? What's the signs for that? Yes, I'm not in my authentic self. I don't hear my intuition correctly. I hear it through this filter. And you don't really know that I haven't penetrated that filter yet. And how you do it?
I think one of the best ways is because you asked me before about getting information that really is not correct. If you're recording your messages or even your nudges or however you want to call it, if you're recording those in a journal and they keep getting quote bad information, it hasn't been a benefit to you, I would step back and look at the relationships in your life. And is this a relationship that's benefiting both of us, or am I blaming the other person, or is the other person blaming me, and together we're just not moving forward in our lives? So I would say if you keep getting messages that are not of benefit to you, step back and objectively as possible, because that's the very nature of codependent relationships, is you don't see when you're in it, but try to step back or listen to even what other people are telling you, friends and family, because friends and family are often good indicators of when we're in relationships that aren't healthy for us.
You mean those difficult people in our life?
There's difficult people are one thing. Codependency is something else.
I would like to add something, because it sounds a little bit as if we have to do a lot of things and have a real big patience until we can tap into our intuition. And this, people might say, oh, I never learned that. I want to say that even if we are not sure what our intuition tells us, we have a deeper layer where all the time we have an intuition. When we, for instance, take the next class, when somebody is alcohol dependent, and he takes the next class, or she, and she knows somewhere that it is not right. There is some hidden part which they don't want to listen to, but it is there. So yeah. I think It is more to be able and to learn and to want to learn, to listen to these hidden voices, because they are always popping up. And what we do normally, bang, we kick them down again. Begin to think, but I better should, or maybe this time I can still, and so on, you know. But there is this little moment which says, you know.
And keep in mind, too, sometimes the messages will include information about situations in our life that aren't necessarily positive, but the messages we receive are positive. But it also might be little nudges to move away from that unhealthy relationship or that unhealthy situation, or try this, try something else, you know, think about something else, versus being in this negative area.
I think when you have problems, intuition is really telling you things, and normally you would react against. No, 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 no. For instance, I think about relationships which are not working, and you try to convince yourself that they are working, and then there comes intuition and says, you better go away. Oh no, what shall I do? Oh no, I cannot. And so, you know, when you have a very strong resistance against something which comes up, this might be a good indicator that you have tapped into your real intuition, you know.
Yeah, because the messages aren't always something we want to change or want to hear. And sometimes I say the universe has to hit us with a 2x4. You know, intuition is very subtle. It can be very positive. But sometimes I think, and I'll use the word God, but higher self, whatever, sometimes we just have to get hit over the head to pay attention to something and finally get a message. But that's kind of a different area than what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and sometimes we don't want to hear the message because it asks us to change something, to go into pain, to go into periods of life which are not easy, and we try not to listen. You know? It's not that we don't have it, the intuition, only we choose not to listen to it.
Yeah, there's areas that may need healing, that may need to work through, maybe with a professional, like a psychiatrist or a professional counselor of some kind, to have enough healing. I call it, we could clean up part of our lives. We got to clean up enough of the junk of the pipeline for us to receive the message. Because if the pipeline to our inner self and our higher power is just filled with all this emotional junk, we're just not going to hear or receive the information. So yeah, part of it's just cleaning up your life.
Yeah, that's I had another question there, and that was, what is the difference from the word channeling and listening to intuition? Is it the same thing?
Some of this channeling, to me, and generally it's thought of this way, channeling is generally thought of as another entity, whether it be a soul, a higher being, another entity, not your higher self, but an outside entity speaking through you. Whereas, excuse me, whereas intuition is you listening to your own soul, to your own higher self, to your own inner knowing. And again, channeling to me is an outside entity, a higher being, hopefully a higher being. You want the highest possible. But that's the difference between channeling and intuition.
Yeah. I only work with my higher self personally.
Now, some people choose to channel and work with outside entities. I think you have to be kind of careful with that and do it with an intent to heal all and for everyone's highest good, or your ego can just get caught up in, oh, this higher being is talking to me and I'm imparting all this wisdom on people. So I think you have to be careful about your reasons for channeling and your intent, and bringing in only the highest information for everyone involved, if you're going to even do that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a very big distinction here.
Yes.
So when you let's talk about you here, Darlene. what kind of work do you do? How can you help somebody, and what problems do they have?
My clients generally have problems with work-life balance, and they're just overwhelmed. They're just looking for relief. They've either have their own business, or I've had clients that work in jobs that they just want some kind of life-work balance and are looking to get relief from that. I generally don't work with people that come in and say, I want help with my intuition, but I can. But my clients generally don't necessarily know what all that means. But part of our work together may include me teaching them to listen to themselves for their own highest guidance, because it's not me telling people what to do. I feel the best I can bring people and the highest healing is for them to listen to their own inner wisdom. What's their own self telling them of how they can improve their life? So we work together like on a 3-6 month basis, and we'll work on life issues, again, balance, business issues. I even work with marketing and technology with people with their businesses. So it kind of depends on the client, but that's what I do.
Okay, great. So I know you have prepared a little gift for people who are watching now.
I have. I prepared a special gift for the Connections Google Hangout watchers, and it's kind of an intuition mini course. I had a lot of fun with it.
Oh, that's so
it's a guided meditation if you're making a decision, and I tried to make it as practical as possible. So it's kind of a mini course for your intuition. If you're needing to make a decision about something, it's a guided meditation about 2 different paths you can take, and looking at each path and kind of the impressions you get for what each decision feels like. And then there's a worksheet involved where you write down your impressions after you're done. It's just a 5-minute guided meditation with soothing music. If nothing else, it's nice to relax to.
So, Darlene, can we put it on the replay page?
Sure. And it's right at hernextstep.com/connections gift. All one word.
Thank you so much. That is
amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we're nearing the end of this episode. Can we have some final word? What about you, Heidi?
Final word is we cannot live well without using our intuition. And as Darlene says, we live better when we are really in touch with our intuition, which we really know how to access it and how to use it, and how, as you said before also, to discern it from these voices who are not intuition. So
yeah.
What do you say, Darlene? What's your final word here?
I'd say be open to enhancing your life in so many ways you never even thought of by opening to your intuition. There are gifts your soul, your higher knowing is wanting to give you, and all you have to do is open up and enhance your life to do it.
Awesome.
It's a gift.
Yeah, it's truly a gift to actually connect to intuition. I am very excited about this interview, Darlene. And I think that anyone who is tapping into their authentic self, their higher self, the divine spark, let's say, they will be happier. And it's a natural, essential gift of skill that everybody should do. We would end all wars in the world if people are tuning in with the intuition they have.
Yeah, and we're all born with it. It's just part of us.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much. So, Heidi, we have next week's episode. What is that?
Actually, the person who is booked for next week hasn't answered, so I'm not yet sure. It will be on Saturday, I must make a decision. And when we are, as I think we will be, there will be Mr. Anderson, who is now in our audience, and she will talk about endings in life. So
Okay.
if not next week, then the next possibility, she will be with us.
That's awesome. And it's on, we have moved now to 10 a.m. Eastern Time.
Wait. Next week is the big confusion. We really have to pay attention because we will have changed the time and you have not. So we will figure that out.
Yes, it will be sorted out. We're just listening to intuition because the time is now, right?
And it's the right time.
Okay.
Who comes first needs to wait, and who comes late, there's the replay. You know, it happened to me so often that I waited to the time, and then I noticed, oh, it was an hour before. So hopefully it won't happen.
We're going to solve this. So it would, Darlene, it would be very amazing to have you another time if you like to have.
Oh, I would love to.
Yeah. And and I also thank our viewers who listen to this episode, and please give some comments below the video. And Heidi, do you need to say anything more?
No, I think I'm fine.
Okay, so with that, we'll see you next week. Thank you so much for watching.